All right, what's up, everyone? I'm Filoki, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 training camp standouts for the Seattle Seahawks going into this 2022 NFL season. These are going to be guys that you've heard a lot of good things from the media, good things from Pete Carroll, and also guys that I believe could have an impact. So we're not going to be taking a look at like some fringe practice squad guy that's apparently doing way better than people expected in these training camps. We're going to be talking about guys that are getting praised, doing really well, and that could actually have an impact this season or going on in the future. So with that, let's get right into number 1, Marquise Goodwin. Marquise Goodwin has been an interesting player so far. He was a pretty solid, under the radar signing for the Seattle Seahawks this offseason. Quick guy, fits with a Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, really fast wide receiver group. And apparently he's absolutely killing it in training camp. You've seen some clips of him absolutely cooking some of our corners. It seems like every single day that there's a training camp, practice going on, you hear, oh, Marquise Goodwin doing this, doing that, catching a touchdown over the middle in scrimmages. It's like, Marquise Goodwin, you have heard nothing but good things. And, with what we've seen him do in the past with the 49ers, he's had some pretty solid games. He's had some good showings. He hasn't really been the greatest wide receiver, but he's shown glimpses of what he can do. He's a very interesting option for wide receiver 3 going into this year, and he's almost definitely won the spot. All right, so now I've got 2 clips to show you kind of what I'm talking about with Marquise Goodwin just cooking our corners, doing whatever he wants, and just showing out throughout training camp. So this is from the mock game from last Saturday, and here's Marquise Goodwin. He's going up against Tariq Woolen in cover 3, and he just does a simple comeback route. I mean, he gets some good separation. What is that, 3-4 yards of separation? Comeback, gets the catch. Good play. He got some good separation right here. I mean, maybe you would like to see better coverage from Tariq Woolen. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it's kind of a lose-lose scenario. He's playing zone, hitting a comeback route. It's just kind of a lose for Tariq Woolen there. But he gets Marquise Goodwin back later, and we'll be seeing that. All right, so now clip number 2, we've got Marquise Goodwin from a pass from Drew Lock against Elijah Jones. And, Elijah Jones, he's not really going to be one of our corners. So this is kind of just beating up on, a nobody, I guess you could say. But, I mean, look at this. Another comeback route here absolutely kills him. Like, it's not even close. That's kind of a combination of Marquise Goodwin just being better, having a good route, good comeback there. And maybe Elijah Jones isn't the greatest corner, but my God, like, this is 4 yards of separation as he's about to make the catch. Like, that's a great route by Marquise Goodwin. And that's something that you just hear about him doing constantly, getting open, beating corners, just doing whatever he wants to do, really. And, I mean, Marquise Goodwin, wide receiver 3, he could have a pretty solid impact for us, with teams most likely focusing DK Metcalf, who you see right here looking big, hot, and sexy. We could see Marquise Goodwin actually have a pretty impactful season. And if he can continue what he's been doing in training camp going into the 2022 season, that could be very good for us. And now player number 2, of course, not in any order of like who's going to be most effective, but someone that I'm probably the most excited for coming out of this training camp is Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen, 5th round pick from the Seattle Seahawks. When we picked him, I believe Andrew Booth was still on the board, and I was kind of upset that we didn't take him. But Tariq Woolen is looking absolutely fantastic. 6'4", 4.26, 40. I mean, the measurables and the athleticism, they're off the chart for this man. And apparently he doesn't suck complete nuts. Like, people were talking about how, he was so like raw in college. He didn't seem like he knew what he was doing. He's a wide receiver converted to corner, the kind of Richard Sherman story. But he wasn't Richard Sherman when it came to like the talent that he had and like the IQ. But it seems like he's really putting things together. Like, it is so surprising hearing what we've been hearing from him, because it seems like he would be like some incredible project that maybe we'd see like the fruits of our labor after 2 or 3 years. But Pete Carroll today was giving Tariq Woolen a lot of praise. He was saying that he's cleaned up his game a lot since college. In college, he was all over the place. But similar to Richard Sherman, he comes in, he learns, he pays attention, and he does incredibly well. And that has led Tariq Woolen to maybe get a chance to start. He's the starting right corner right now going into this preseason game because Sidney Jones is injured. I believe Artie Burns is injured as well. But, I mean, he's getting chances here, and apparently he's doing very well with the chances that he's given. And this is something that really excites me, because if he can be anywhere close to Richard Sherman when it comes to how he plays making great plays on the ball and like the IQ, his measurables, his athleticism is 10 times better than Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman didn't run a 4.26. Richard Sherman was tall, he was long, but you saw when he went to the 49ers, he was kind of slow. He got completely dusted by some of the newer, younger guys, and Tariq Woolen would be a guy that wouldn't have to deal with that. 4.26 speed is up there with just about anybody in the league. So this is something that is incredibly exciting for me. All right, so now once again, let's take a look at some clips for Tariq Woolen. I've got 2 clips here that are incredibly impressive to me, mainly because right here, this first clip, as I said before, he gets back at Marquise Goodwin for what, Marquise Goodwin completely dusted him on that comeback route. This one's impressive because we've seen and heard how good Marquise Goodwin has been. So him, Tariq Woolen, rookie, coming in and doing what he does here is very impressive. Now, people are going to say that maybe this isn't the greatest throw, but still, you can watch Tariq Woolen here. He sticks with him. On that release, no space has been acquired by Marquise Goodwin. Tariq Woolen is with him. Maybe a little bit of a hold there, but he's getting away with that in the game. That is not like a very clear, blatant hold. And the speed lets him catch back up. And, look at that. Not a great pass. I'm not sure who that pass was from. I'd assume that was a Geno pass, mainly because Drew Lock is standing there staring at this play happening. Clearly, he didn't throw the ball. But I think that he dropped it. They said it was a near interception, but, it looked like he had it. But, my God, he kept up with Marquise Goodwin perfectly here. Like, Marquise Goodwin, watch this. All this release movement didn't really get him anywhere. Kind of gets a step here, but Tariq Woolen, being so fast, immediately catches back up. They're side by side. Tariq Woolen has the inside, bad throw. Great defense by Woolen here, and that's something that excites me. But what I think is probably the most impressive thing I've seen from Tariq Woolen throughout training camp, every single clip I've seen of him, this is the most impressive because you got DK Metcalf right here running a fade route to the end zone. This is something that it really comes down to who's going to get up, who's going to use their length, who's going to use their athleticism, who's going to make the play on the ball. And, of course, you see Tariq Woolen here when we watch this clip. He's the one that makes the play on the ball. First off, sticks with DK quite well. And then DK, he gets his hands on the ball. That could be a catch if Tariq Woolen doesn't get his hands in and break it up. And then, they have a funny little fight over there for the ball. Tariq Woolen gets it. Not going to be an interception because he jumped out of the end zone to get it. But, hey, this is super impressive to me right here. DK has the ball. If Tariq Woolen doesn't get his hands in there, DK brings it down into his chest, into his stomach, and he catches it. But Tariq Woolen ends up knocking it out. Left hand comes in. He throws his right hand over, kind of misses, but still. He got his left hand in there, knocks the ball out. DK tries to make a play. Can't really do anything. He's already out of the end zone. Then Tariq Woolen, crazy dive for no reason, but it's funny. And that's very good defense, and that is super impressive because Tariq Woolen, he could potentially be an incredible corner if he continues to grow and becomes a good corner when it comes to coverage. He's got the speed, the size, everything else. It's absolutely insane. All right, so now on to number 3. This one may not be the most exciting, but it is one that's relatively intriguing for the future of the team, and that is Phil Haynes. Someone that has been getting a lot of praise from Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll basically saying it's like we have 3 starting guards on the team. Damian Lewis, Gabe Jackson, of course, are our 2 starters, and Phil Haynes apparently is making a pretty good showing throughout this training camp. He's on a really cheap deal. He's only got 1 year. That's the only issue. We can't start 3 guys at guard, but maybe we can rotate him in. Maybe we could get, Austin Blythe rotating around, maybe give Phil Haynes a chance at center. There are options for Phil Haynes to get usage, but also, Austin Blythe is on a 1-year deal. He's getting paid more than Phil Haynes, so maybe Phil Haynes could be a guy after this year. If he does show out and do pretty well, maybe he can make the move to center and just be a good center. He's 27, maybe 28. So he still has some good years. He is 27 right now. He's got some good years left in the tank for an offensive lineman. You have Dwayne Brown getting God knows how much, 22 million over 2 years. He's 37. He's getting good money, and he's probably going to be relatively solid for the Jets. Offensive linemen last pretty long, and Phil Haynes being 27, if he can make that move to center, because I don't think we're going to need guards for the next 2-3 years. until Gabe Jackson doesn't want to play with us anymore. I don't think he's really going to get the opportunity, unfortunately, but it is definitely really interesting that Phil Haynes has really been showing out, and that is a guy that could potentially come in and help in future years. Maybe not this year, but that's a guy that I think is an intriguing prospect for future years to come, and hearing him do well is pretty good. And now number 4, maybe the guy that'll have the biggest impact on the team, especially on the defensive side of the football. This guy might be our top defensive guy other than Jordan Brooks, Darrell Taylor. Every single day you hear something new about Darrell Taylor, how great he's doing, how he's just doing whatever he wants. He's just beating offensive linemen, just doing whatever he wants to do. He's just an animal. And, Pete Carroll's always saying good stuff about him. You see the guys tweeting about training camp saying, oh, Darrell Taylor again, doing absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of clips of him, rushing the passer or doing anything like that because, in scrimmages, in the mock game, you can't hit the quarterback. So the sacks are kind of like, oh, yeah, he would have gotten a sack, but play still continues to go, throw the ball, whatever. But there is a play from the mock game here that I want to show you guys real quick. We got Darrell Taylor. This isn't really the greatest of a showing from him because, it's not like he really had to do anything. He just used his speed to get through a gap in the offensive line. Not the greatest blocking by the second team here. But as you can see, we've got the second team with Drew Lock against the first team defense, and just the blocking is piss poor. I'm going to be completely honest, but Darrell Taylor, uses his speed to get through the hole. I mean, number 11, what is that? Cody Thompson just does not make the block. Darrell Taylor just gets right through, ends up making the play. And, there's really nothing to show, but he gets through a hole. Bad blocking. That's just it. It's kind of disappointing that there's not a lot that we can really see from Darrell Taylor, but I mean, I'm very excited to watch him in the preseason. I'm excited to watch him throughout the season because you have heard nothing but good things from Darrell Taylor. And, we're going to need some pass rush because our corners are going to be young, inexperienced, especially if Tariq Woolen is there. You don't want him getting cooked. You want him to kind of have the quarterback not having all the time in the world, so then it makes his job a little bit easier, makes Kobe Bryant's job easier. Sidney Jones is still pretty young too. Like, it'll make the corners' jobs easier if we have a good pass rush, and I think Darrell Taylor will be probably the main force in that pass rush this year. And now, the 5th and final standout from training camp this year is Drew Lock. Now, I'm not going to be showing any clips from Drew Lock in this video. I made a whole video about why Drew Lock is going to be a good player if he's given a chance. But, Drew Lock in the mock game led 3 scoring drives when he only had, I think 4 out of his 5, maybe 3 out of his 5 drives that he had were with the second team offense against the first team defense. When he had the first team offense against a second team defense, he scored a touchdown in both of those drives. I mean, Drew Lock has outperformed Geno Smith. He outperformed Geno Smith in the mock game, and Geno Smith was at the advantage because he had the better offensive players against the worst defensive players. And, Drew Lock had, 185 yards. He was 19 for 27. He did very good in the mock game. You hear Drew Lock, he's doing good too in training camp. There's been days where the passing just has not really done well, especially in the red zone. Like early on in training camp, you heard red zone passing drills getting destroyed. Just in general. That's not like Geno Smith was doing good and Drew Lock was sucking. Both of them were doing horrible. But now you're hearing Geno Smith is doing good in the red zone. Drew Lock is doing good in the red zone drills. And Drew Lock outperformed him in the mock game. And I think that this preseason is going to be very big for both of these guys, whoever wants to start. We know what we have in Geno Smith. Geno Smith, he'll get the job done. He'll do what he needs to do. He's not going to win you games. He might lose you games, but there's a chance he doesn't lose you games, right? Drew Lock, it's a risk, but the reward for that risk is pretty gosh darn good. There's a chance he throws 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. We've seen him have really good games like that. But there's also a chance that he just completely, pisses the bed and loses you a game. That's the risk that you have with Drew Lock. But I think in the spot that we are, as a team, Drew Lock is a guy that I think should be playing. I mean, Geno Smith, if Drew Lock really struggles one game, throw Geno Smith in the second half. But I think Drew Lock should be starting this year. Let him just go out in the fire. Let him prove himself. This is really his last chance to do anything. So it's he's going to have to do something regardless. So, give him the chance. It'll be more fun to watch. There's a possibility he wins you some games because Drew Lock, even though he hasn't performed the best throughout his career, can definitely be a good quarterback. You see him; he's willing to take hits to make good throws. He's not running away from contact. He's pretty solid moving out of the pocket. He can make deep passes. I mean, I'm excited to watch Drew Lock in this preseason game against the Steelers in 2 days. I mean, I want to see Drew Lock play, but will Pete Carroll let him? I don't know. I'm not going to show any clips. If you want to hear my full thoughts on Drew Lock, I got a video that came out yesterday. If you haven't seen that, go take a look. But that's about it. That is my top 5 standouts that I am most excited for, that we've heard the greatest things for throughout this training camp. I think everyone other than Phil Haynes could have a really big impact this year. Phil Haynes may possibly play a little bit, but he's kind of in that spot where he's behind 2 better guys, so him doing really good is promising for the future. But, will he have an impact this year? Who knows? But that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about these guys. Are there any other guys that you've heard good things about in training camp that you're excited for? Let me know down below in the comments. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.